Hello, parents. I welcome you all on GenX Parenting. And today we are going to talk about yet another parenting challenge. But before that, a quick question. Do you remember the times when, as a child, we used to watch Chitrahar on TV? A romantic song used to start, and our parents used to suddenly switch off the TV, leaving us all. Or the time when the girls got their first period, and the only thing that mom told us was, here's your pad, use it whenever you have the periods. And yes, don't take prasad and don't go to temple. Once again, leaving us girls confused, curious, and disappointed. The reason to revisit all those memories is not to blame anyone or to point a finger at anyone, but to remind us that there is a better way to deal with those delicate situations. And that is called as sex education. And to help us with the right information, we have with us Dr. Ananya Chitale. She is a psychiatrist, psychotherapist, and associate professor with D.Y. Patil College of Homeopathic Medicine. We are going to do this video in two parts. This part is focused on what is sex education, what is the benefit of sex education beyond knowledge, and how to do it in age-appropriate manner. In second part, we are going to deal with feelings, that is, how to handle early age romantic relationships. What to do if you catch your son watching porn film. So let us welcome Dr. Chitale and get going with the video. Hello, ma'am. Welcome once again on GenX Parenting.
Yes, thank you so much, Leena, for having me once again over here. And yeah, it was so important that you took up this topic this time because sex education is not something that we must do as a formality to just educate our children about it, but it is also very much important in today's time for their own safety and for successful navigation through relationships in their later life.
So, first question, ma'am. What is sex education all about?
Yeah, so sex education basically is way beyond the word sex. Which I would say giving sex education to children helps in many other ways. For example, it helps in understanding children that why abstinence is required, that why they can't indulge in any kind of sexual activity till they come at a right time and at a right age. They will understand the concept of boundaries. They need to also understand that this thing is very private and that nobody has any right to indulge in or to cross that private boundary of theirs. So understanding the boundaries so that it protects them today from sexual predators. Then sex education also helps in making them realize what are safe sex practices. It that way helps in preventing the youngish pregnancies, the problem that we see in community, or even the sexually transmitted diseases. They can protect themselves from that. Another important thing why it is needed is because it motivates the teenagers specifically to make wise, informed decisions tomorrow when they grow as adults in choosing their partners. At the same time, it also helps children to learn things like respecting the opposite gender, respecting the variations that we have today when it comes to the sexual spectrum. So this becomes very important aspect, not just for them, but to ensure that a overall healthy community is built tomorrow. Apart from that, sexual education becomes important when it comes to understanding what is, or rather, I would say, keeping youngsters safe from even things like sexual violence and sexual abuses. It helps in understanding the legal aspects of these things. For example, a child or a teenager must know that somebody even forcing them to watch porn is an offense and they can say no to it. okay, and that it can be actionable. So that is how protection, not just from the obvious sexual offenses, but these kind of subtle things that go very frequently in our community, so they can protect themselves in a big way. Another important way that I must mention here, which is slightly subtle and indirect, how sex education rather helps, is that it can protect our children from body shaming, bullying, and teasing if that happens. Because once they know that if I'm having acne in my puberty, it is normal. Okay, if I'm developing fat around certain areas of my body as I'm growing up, it is very much normal, and I don't need to compare it with somebody. Or if somebody is teasing me about that, I don't need to get impacted by that. So, knowing the sexual development and sex education can, in a big way, many times protect our children from even the body shaming that can come along with it.
What, according to you, is the most important benefit of sex education for your child? Do mention it in the comment. I would also like to share here that GenX Parenting has done an insightful video about dealing with body shaming with Dr. Ananya Chitale. It is a must watch for all the parents as we are raising our children in a highly vocal and judgmental world of social media. The link is flashing right now and also shared in the description. Don't forget to check that out. So, ma'am, what is the right age when the parents can start talking about sex education? How to do it in an age appropriate manner?
Yes, Leena. So let me start with busting a very common myth around the right age of starting sex education. Let me tell you all parents that there is no one right age where you feel that, okay, when my child reaches at the age of 8, I will sit with him and I will have 1 hour ka full discussion on what is sex education. It should not happen, and it does not happen that way. Because normally in India we have this practice where many mothers, when the girl child approaches that age where they are about to start their periods, at that time the mother will sit with the child and will explain that, okay, you're growing now, you might have your periods. But ideally that is just one part that can happen in that one session. Ideally, sex education can start, or rather should start, even when the child is just 2 or 3 years of age. And as you rightly said, Leena, that it has to be done in an age appropriate manner. So, to answer your question, let me divide how we have to do sex education in different age groups. So, let us divide in 3 age groups: 2 to 5 years, 6 to 11 years, and 11 years and further. Okay. So, when I'm talking of 2 to 5 years of age, right? The very first thing that we all must remember is that this is the age where we teach our children regular body parts, right? Nose, ears, eyes. Are we able to teach them the correct names of even our reproductive organs? Most of the parents don't do that, and I would strongly recommend that let's start breaking our own shame and taboo right from here. Teaching your child scientific names of even the reproductive organs, of the names of the reproductive organs, is very crucial. Because one, if there is some medical issue happening at some of the body part, they would be confidently and clearly tell you what is wrong with them. Second, God forbid, but if our children are falling a prey to some sexual predator tomorrow in whichever way, they would be able to tell you exactly what is happening to them and at which body part it is happening to them. Okay, so sex education at that age starts fundamentally from teaching them scientific names of the body parts. The second most important thing we have to start in this age is that we have to teach them the concept of boundaries and consent. Enough has been, I think, already talked about in the media as well as in our community, but let me highlight this again and how to do that. At this age, many of the times children are playing a lot of games related to tickling, or they would be touching games. So that is the opportunity where you as a parent can jump in and teach them the concept of no, or concept of boundary, or concept of asking a permission if they are going to touch somebody, and similarly telling them importance of somebody else telling them and asking them the permission before they are going to touch their body. So from those games you can start the conversation there. Plus it is very important to also, from our end, demonstrate this. So even with a child as young as 1.5 year, when we are changing, say, a diaper of a child, that is an opportunity to send a strong message about boundaries and consent. So if I'm changing diaper of my 1.5 year old child, I am going to tell the child that, we have soiled our diaper and it's a time for a diaper change. Can I take out your pant and pull off that diaper? If we don't do that, you will have infection in that area. The child, of course, he says yes or no, we have complete power, but what message it sends is that it is important that whenever somebody is touching that area of my mine, they are asking me permission, and that is how it should be. So sex education can start through these simple gestures that we do as a parent. If they want to sit on your lap, or if they want to sit on somebody's lap, that is an opportunity to educate them to ask permission, and how it is not okay to sit directly on somebody else's lap, even if they want to, or even if they get called. So these are simple opportunities in day-to-day life where you can start reinforcing the concept of boundaries and consent. The third thing, at this age, what commonly happens is that the children start growing curious about each other's bodies and their own body. Okay, so a message to all parents that don't freak out or get mad at your child tomorrow if you find that secretly they're playing doctor game, and probably they're trying to dress or undress anybody or each other. Okay, because this is coming out of curiosity, and instead of thrashing them or scolding them, you have to take them out and explain them that how it is not okay to do this, because certain aspects have to be private. So starting that conversation at that point is important, and how you start that by clearly acknowledging and appreciating their curiosity. Okay, it is good thing to tell your child that they are really happy that they are so curious about knowing things, and we are here to tell them, rather than they secretly doing it. How much and how long to address, that can be completely your discretion as a parent. If the child is ready enough, you can use storybooks. I will be sharing resources with you, Leena, and they can use those storybooks and explain them. After 2 to 5 years, the next very crucial age group is 6 to 11 years, because a lot of things happen in the child's mind also during this age group. So at this age group, it is good to start with explaining them or discussing with them importance of using the digital devices safely and exploring digital devices safely, because we all know that with the pandemic that has hit us, our children are now using all our digital devices. So explaining them about the safety in terms of pornography or visiting any random sites, or seeing any pictures or opening any content or talking to strangers, all of that part is something that we have to discuss explicitly with the children. The other aspect that you can discuss at this particular age group is about sexual abuse and legal aspects of it. Whenever there is an opportunity, it is good to initiate conversations. Okay, this auntie is pregnant. I was wondering that, have you ever discussed about how pregnancy happens? So this proactive start of conversation sometimes will send one important message to the child that my my parent is very open about these things, and I can talk whatever doubts I have with my parent. So whenever they have doubts, or if they already have doubts, they have already provided that open channel for them to come and discuss with you. If your child is not asking, it is even better to initiate those conversations from your end, because if your child is not asking by the time he reaches 11, 12 years anything about it, it means he has already got some information from his friends or from websites or from somebody else, which might not be the genuine information, and we need to be the ones who give them that correct information. Okay, so proactive conversations wherever there is an opportunity, you can start. Then this is the age where the children are slowly and steadily growing or approaching towards puberty. So yes, here it is very important to in detail explain them about human anatomy, physiology, the upcoming hormonal change that they are going to go through, the bodily changes that can come with them, and normalize the whole conversation. One way to normalize this entire change process and conversing about them is by using photographs of your young age, or their photographs from their past. Okay, at the same time, see to it that you also develop self love, instill the concept of self love, which goes beyond the skin and the beauty. Why? Because the upcoming body changes, which include changes in certain parts of their body, uh, starting with the pubertal problems like dryness of skin or oily skin or acne or deepening of voice or the appearance of beard in males, all these things are enough for them to start feeling uncomfortable about their own body, or even start unhealthy comparisons with their peers, or even for anybody else to bully them or tease them with their body changes. And this might start somewhere the problem of body shaming, which we have discussed in our past video. So it is important that this is the age where you discuss all these anatomy, physiology, along with the concept of self-love to prevent all these issues. Then another thing that you can address at this age is also some introduction to the non-binary world of male and female. Okay, so we have these incidences very much coming up that the boys tease another boy in the classroom because he has female-like voice, or some of his body language is thoda sa feminine type. So teaching them that there are no stereotypes that male is this and female is this. Okay, and that if somebody doesn't fit this stereotype, that still is normal, and that we have to respect whatever it is. So all these conversations can start in the age group of 6 to 11 years. Okay, and these conversations can be done from your end very proactively. Apart from that, this is the age where a child will come with plethora of questions, and that I'm going to just pick a few common questions that our children tend to ask, and we are lost as a parent how to answer them. So one of the most common question that a child might have in mind, and he can very much even ask you, is that what is sex? Obviously. So this is the one question which throws off any parent, from their sanity. Okay. Now, this is absolutely not the way to deal with this, because if they have asked you this question, they're already curious, they've already heard something about it. And that's why it's a high time that you address it right away. I will be giving you general suggestions that you can try and use. But again, every child is different. So you know your child best and you can tailor your answer accordingly. But when this question gets thrown at you from your child, you can say that sex is something, or rather it is one of the way that the babies are made. Why use one of the way? Because then that is where you can also include the other ways of making babies. It is not just sex. We have IUI, we have IVF. So again, giving them scientific information in a holistic way. Okay, so that is one way. Then this question can also serve as a great opportunity to share your thoughts about your sex. Okay, or you can add more information to it, saying that apart from making babies, adults do it. This is in practice which adults do it under two conditions: when there is a privacy, and second, when they are in a healthy relationship, because then in that case, it is an activity which can give pleasure. Okay, so specifying those conditions, at the same time telling them that it is something that is pleasurable, is important, because normally we ourselves are so discomforted talking about it that we don't know what information to give about, but it is completely fine to say this. Then if the child goes further and asks you, okay, so what is healthy relationship? So you can thank your God, because now your child is trying to obtain more information, which will tomorrow help him to grow him as a well-matured adult on this front as well. So don't shun away from the series of questions that can come. So it can go anywhere. What is healthy relationship? Do you and daddy do sex? Right? They can try asking you about your sexual life. So that is the point where you can say, ki, this is something private between me and my husband, but I would be comfortable, or I would like to talk to you in general about sex. So again, you are sending a clear message of boundary. Okay, which is not just about the act or somebody touching you, but it is also about how much you can intrude in somebody's personal space. So you are already giving a very strong, important message across when you stop your child there. But it is necessary that you add the sentence that I can talk to you in general about sex. Okay, so child knows that, yeah, my parents are comfortable and they know about it. Apart from that, what you can do here is that you can be reflective. For example, you can start the conversation when this question comes by saying that this seems like an interesting question. I was wondering what you already know about it, so that I can help you to further understand it. Okay, so you throw this open-ended question to your child and get information on what he knows, because that will bring about any misinformed stuff that he might have heard, wrong information he might have heard, and you can also clarify it then and there. Okay. The other way, if you feel that you just don't know how to answer this question, it is absolutely fine to tell your child that your question is very important as well as interesting. I think I might not be able to explain you as well as your doctor can. So, can we go to the expert who can explain you in a way which will be understandable for you? Okay. Or it is okay to buy time from child saying that this is a very important question and let me come back to you day after tomorrow. Right, by that time you can buy that time and understand how to answer it, but never ever suppress the question or never ever try to distract the child from that thing. Okay. The other ways of how you can answer this question could be, of course, as I mentioned earlier, that you can use books, various resources that I would be sharing. And sometimes, even in the age group of 6 to 11, it is okay to tell your child that as clearly as a man enters his penis in the vagina of a woman, they share the sperm and egg, and then the babies are also made. How the babies are made, if you say this is one way the babies are made, the child will ask how. Okay, so it is okay to give this clear information as well if your child is able to understand it and is slightly older, say maybe around 9 or 10 years of age. Okay, but again, as I said, you have to apply slight discretion as a parent, where to stop, when to stop, how much to share. If your child is asking and wanting to know more, you can consider that your child is ready to receive the information as well. You can get a question thrown at you when you're standing at a chemist shop that, Mama, what is this? What is a condom for? Right? It is important to tell them, let us go home and discuss more about it. And tell them that condom is something that a man wears on its penis, and it ensures it ensures protection from various sexually transmitted illnesses. Okay, so giving correct information, giving clear information when your child is slightly older, maybe past 9 or 10 years of age, is extremely crucial at this age. The second question that can get commonly thrown is, of course, how babies are made. Okay, so again, as I said, you can start by asking the child what he thinks or what she knows about the process, or what does she feel how the babies are made, so that if they have some misconception that babies are sent by God or something else, you can correct them. And again, if you don't know the answer, buy time or take the child to the professional, but never ever discredit or demean the child by shouting at child or by suppressing his question. Do not invalidate the curiosity as well. Then comes the next stage where we are almost reaching the puberty from 12 or 13 and forward. Now, this is the age where you can go ahead and talk about even complex concepts such as gender identity, safe sex practices, birth control methods, sexual abuse, the legal aspects of this, even in more details, where you can actually make them aware of the POCSO Act, which is the protection of children against sexual offenses. Okay, so you yourself, to all parents, I would say, get aware of the POCSO Act, read that POCSO Act, and make your children aware of their rights which come under the POCSO Act as well. Okay, plus the other aspects, the subtle aspects that come along, then what is the role of sex as an act when it comes to relationships, the romantic relationships, all those complex talks can be done once a child reaches about 12 years of age, including what does exactly the sexual act involve. And that is the time where you don't have to weave stories around it or you have to be indirect about it. You can actually talk to the child as if you're talking to an adult by that time. Okay, always and always validate their curiosity, and whenever you want to give them any information, give them the correct information. If you can't, please take them or seek help from the professional. That is how you can ensure that your child tomorrow as an adult will navigate successfully through this complex sphere of sexual identity, to sex, to its connection with the relationships.
Thank you, Dr. Chitale, for this detailed discussion. Parents, if you have found this video useful, then do share it with fellow parents. And if you have watched this video so far and yet not subscribed to us, then it is unfair. We are aiming at 500 subscribers by October 2022. counting on your support. Thank you so much.